Okay. All right. So I believe we're good to go now. We're definitely on YouTube. YouTube is good to go. Facebook is just about good to go. There it is. 7 minutes past the o'clock hour this morning on WNCR-TV Now as we continue to talk about things impacting our state, our city, and our nation. Facebook Live should be loading up here on this third day of April. While it's moving right along for sure. Let me see if I see it on Facebook Live this morning for WNCR TV. Everything is clicked, but it still says it's starting. Oh, there we go. So now it is. It is what it is. Well, okay, I can go there and see it. There we go. All right, so there we go, and I can click on today's Wednesday, right? Yeah, so I don't have to do that. So share it to my Facebook Live video. You too can do the same. See, Gwendolyn Swain's already there. Good morning to you, Miss Swain. Thank you so much for tuning in to WNCR TV Now. We really appreciate that as well. Let me see. Perfect. So we got that done. Again, YouTube, we're there as well. So what's happening today, tomorrow, the next day, and etc. Let's see if the General Assembly did it. Well, they probably did do something yesterday, I'm sure. So, oh yeah. So, sweeping tariffs draws dismay, calls for talks from countries around the globe. Sweeping new tariffs announced by U.S. President Donald Trump provoked dismay, threats of countermeasures, and urged calls to talk to find ways to rescind stiff new import taxes imposed on goods from countries around the globe. Let me see. New tariffs: 10% baseline tariff, a 54% on China, 24% on Japan, 20% on Europe, and all other, and 25% on all foreign-made vehicles. Oh, let me go to the door real quick. Okay, so let's get back to what we were doing there. 12 minutes past the 8 o'clock hour this morning on WNCR TV Now as we continue to talk about things impacting our state, our city, and our nation. What I was talking about just then was the tariffs that is going into place there or here in America. Looks like there may be some technical difficulties. I don't. Yeah, everything looks pretty pretty good to me. Um, yeah. So where was I at? Okay. So yeah. So that's what's going on there. And of course, he said that he would do it. We'll see how long that happens. Trump's healthy tears send stock market falling. I wonder what is the end result, end game here. Hmm. Says two NC State students' visas were terminated. They head back to Saudi Arabia. That's interesting as well. What was I reading yesterday? It'll come back to me in just a few. It'll come back to me in just a few. But, oh, I know. It was the Sunday school lesson from a couple of weeks ago. I don't have that book with me, so therefore I can't deal with that situation. But stocks tumble at a dollar weekend as recession fears grips Wall Street. U.S. markets were also set to open lower while gold hits a new record high. Investors seek safer investments. And so that's always the case. And so those who are familiar with investing, they know to shift their money from the stock market to buying gold because there's the belief that gold is will have its value. But of course, we do know gold changes in prices as well as the market performs and gives you better return on your investment. But of course, there's a limited supply of gold, so therefore, if more people purchase gold, of course, it drives up cost. So, what has happened? President Donald Trump declared U.S. economy emergency and announced tariffs of at least 10% across countries, with the rates higher than 60% in other countries or trading blocks that have high trade deficit in the United States. Auto tariffs are now in effect. China is hit the hardest. China is the second top exporter to the U.S. behind Mexico, will now face a 54% tariff and has vowed to hit back. Canada and the EU, also top trading partners, are now preparing for countermeasures as well. And it's interesting that they're now preparing for countermeasures. This man has been saying that he's going to issue tariffs on some said day, which was yesterday. And I guess that shows you the weakness of those countries as well. Either they didn't believe it or what. But 9 times out of 10, if he say he's going to do something, I would take this individual at his word, the United States President Donald Trump. Also, Doge drove layoffs announcements to their highest level ever since March. And so there are more and more people who are sent home who are part of the federal government organization there. And they are making government lean. And so we'll see how that continues to unfold. Again, there is a thought of smaller government and the function of government. And so I get it as well. So we'll see what actually unfolds with that. Of course, 24-hour long speech. Cory Booker was on the Senate floor for 25 hours and 5 minutes, I think it was, setting a record for the longest speech. His pushback against some of the Trump policies and things of that nature. So we'll see where we go from here as well when you look at some of the national things that is happening in our country. And then you go to little old North Carolina, who has his own little things going on around the Capitol. Let's see what's going on there. So there's a bill targets DEI practices. North Carolina universities, calling them divisive. So let's look here in regards to this as well. So the UNC Board of Governors passed last year. It's eliminating DEI in public education. The bill finds 12 concepts that universities would be prevented from promoting, like supporting concepts that are race or gender superior, or topics like white guilt. You can't instruct students because, you can't instruct students. That's because it's your right. You should feel the guilt. This is not a good read there. So let me find something else there. But let me find that DEI bill versus reading it from there, because that right there is not useful. Let me just go to the North Carolina legislative website here. Okay. There we go. That seems to be a little bit better. It says a federal directive is coming out the inclusive campus police. North Carolina universities will fight back. Universities across the country and North Carolina privately reeling from the steam of mandates, policy changes, and threats directed at higher education by Trump administration. The most pressing came a little bit more than 2 weeks ago from Dear Colleague letter sent by the Department of Education Civil Rights Office. In the language more often heard at a political rally than in the legal policy directive, it threatens to end federal funding to any school that supports programs that embrace repugnant race-based preference via woke ideology like DEI, gender identity, and others. Also, across the board, university leaders are remaining quiet on what changes they will implement and adhere to. In the letter, stakes can be higher. Billions of dollars in federal funding are at stake across North Carolina institutions of higher education. It ranges from Pell Grants that are awarded to students but distributed directly to universities, and research funding for federal agencies like the National Institutes of Health and the National Science Foundation, among others. The letter comes at a time when higher education institutions in North Carolina are already make significant moves to end diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives. The president of the United States, the president of UNC Systems directed chancellors to remove DEI offices and jobs from the campus after the UNC Board of Directors passed a policy enshrining institutional neurality. Duke University, the state's largest private university, ended a decade-long scholarship program for black students. In 2021, Duke alone received nearly $650 million in federal funding, including student aid and research. So, if they can cut them dollars off, they can control you for sure. That is quite interesting. I'll be right back in just a second. Don't you go anywhere.
The trained staff at Promised Land Child Care Center is dedicated to nurturing the growth and development of your children in a safe, caring environment. We are open 24/7 with affordable pricing on full, part-time, and drop-in care. Call Promised Land Child Care today or visit us online to learn more.
ALB Building Company is a full-service general contractor. Big or small, they can handle it all. Renovations, additions, or new construction. Think ALB Building Company. We're available at 919-803-4911. That's 919-803-4911. We're ready to transform your vision into reality. ALB Building Company, 919-803-4911.
Greetings, beloved. I'm Pastor J.T. Worthy of the St. James Missionary Baptist Church of Rocky Mount. Tune in each Saturday morning at 9 a.m. for the word, worship, and witness of the St. James Church in our Great Awakenings broadcast, right here on Wncr-Tv.
It's time for
and welcome
Weekly
back
Joy
to
with
WNCR-TV
Eki.
now, as we continue to talk about things impacting our state, our city, and our nation. There, 21 minutes past the 8 o'clock hour. And so, we'll see what ultimately happens with all these type of things that's going on in our country, as to what they used to look like and et cetera. NC Ledge, that's what I was supposed to be going to .com as well. Let me see. And of course, it says that they plan to fix the foster care system in North Carolina as well. Actions by the day in the House. Let's see what happened in the House on yesterday. The 3rd. Not the 3rd, the 2nd. Today's the 3rd. Looks like there was some action on House bills, a couple of action on a number of House bills, actually. Let's see. House Bill 7, which is the NC Reach Act. This looks like it's an appropriation bill, too. is to restore at least 3 credits of instruction. Oh, we talked about this. The bill that was filed on January 30th was an act to require at least 3 credit hours of instruction in American history or American government in order to graduate from a constituent institution or the University of North Carolina with a bachelor's degree or community college with an associate's degree. We talked about that and what the areas of studies and what they'll be required to read. It looks like that moved. What did it do on yesterday? Yesterday it was nothing happened to it yesterday that I see, but yet it was actions on the bill. Maybe it's through this one. 4/2/2021. Yeah. Maybe they did something to it, but there was no actual vote, should I say. Support of private rights. There's support of private rights. There is LEO separation allowance, the Interstate Medical Licensure Compact, Military and Veterans Education Promise Act. Then you have Respiratory Care Modernization Act, revised laws governing minors. That's interesting. Oh, it passed a second reading. So what is this about? Revised laws. They say this act is to amend offense of disseminating obscenity to minors to add to the offense of obscenity to minors, disseminating harmful materials to minors, and criminal conviction that may require registration under the Sex Offenders Public Protection Agency. Yep. Established offenses for habitual witnesses. Okay, that sounds pretty good. Okay, so it changes. It says every person 18 years of age or older who is guilty of a Class H felony, a person knowingly disseminating reasonably should have unseen. Yeah, at least 4 years older than mine. Oh, they changed it from a set hard date to age. Okay, get it. Let's see here. Okay, 96 is expedited removal of the authorized person. Criminal falsification of medical records. Okay. The Joe John Remembrance Act. I wonder what that's about. Joel Chris Awareness Law. Wake County ETJ. About that. Red light camera delay. What else is happening here? In the House. Social Work Interstate Licensure Compact. Disaster response. Yeah. Self-liquidating. At least they're working on the allegedly. Now, what's interesting is these states can have these titles that you realize, there's a little bit more than what they're doing. Building codes, family, and then child care home classification looks like. Adopt, right? Yep. Talking about the rights adoption type situation modification. To the future of firefighting. Well, what's 612? Foster Care Act. So this is a bill. Foster Care North Carolina Act. Now this is a bill actually sponsored by Nash County's Alan Chesser. So an act to make various changes to laws affecting juveniles, associated services, county social services boards, and department regional social services boards, and departments consolidated human services boards and agencies, and the North Carolina Department of Health and Human Services. So this is dealing with a number of things, and it says, it gives definition. And I always say, hey, look, any good piece of legislation has definitions as to what they define it to be. And so 7B-101 of this particular House Bill 612 gives you right out the gate definitions, right? This is going to tell you abuse, what does that mean, and all that good stuff as it relates to the law. And I'll have to go back and kind of go through this. It's a 28-page bill. You know what? Actually, I can do this. So here's what it does in a brief. It says amend the definition of abused juvenile set forth in General Statute 7B 101, applicable to subsection 1, abuse, neglect, dependency, changes the statutory violations listed for which parent, guardian, custodial, caregiver of a juvenile under the age of 18, the commission of which deems the juvenile abused, pursuant to the definition of abused juvenile, now excludes sexually violent offenses as defined in General Statute 14-208.6. Applicable to sex offenders and the public protection registry programs, replacing individual listed General Statute Chapter 14 sexual offenses previously listed, now includes any juvenile less than the age of 18 who is found to be a victim of an unlawful sales, surrender, or purchase of a minor under General Statute 14-4.14, previously included in the list of offenses that were committed by a parent, guardian, or custodian of a caregiver of a juvenile under the age of 18 deemed that the juvenile abused the juvenile. Adding the following definition, defined terms, define legal counsel for the department as an attorney representing the department proceeding under subchapter 1, regardless of whether the attorney is a county attorney, a department attorney, or a contract attorney. Defines post-adoption contract agreements and orders, and authorized under new General Statute 7B-901.2 as interacted, described below. Eliminates prosecutor as defined in terms, and adds and defined division to mean the Division of Social Services or Department of Health and Human Services. Then Section 2 amends General Statute 7B-201 to specify that a court's jurisdiction under Section 1 terminates upon the juvenile's death. If the death occurs before the court terminates the jurisdiction by the court, the juvenile reaches 18 or is emancipated, applies to any action proceeding filed on or after the date becomes law. That's interesting. Amend General Statute 302 and General Statute 7B 303, General Statute 7B 403, requiring the director to attest to the following petitions have been reviewed by a legal counsel for the department. If the legal counsel has not also signed the petition is invoked. This obviously makes room for a lot of double check, triple check your work type situation. I get it. I can post this as well. There's a lot of amendments. And again, the bill is 28 pages, dealing with, again, the main purpose of the bill. And let me view available summary. Oh, there's no available summary at the moment. Again, the main purpose of the bill is to make various changes to laws affecting juveniles and associated services, county social services boards, and department regional social services boards, and the Department of Consolidated Health and Human Services Board agencies, and the North Carolina Department of Health and Human Services. So obviously there's a lot of technical amendments that has been presented by Chester, Bell, Austin as sponsors, but it looks like many of the House members are sponsors of the bill. And so, therefore, the likelihood of it becoming law is very much, it is what it is. It will most likely make its way through the House and most likely make its way through the Senate. And then we'll see what happens in the Senate. But it looks like it's going to have pretty strong support from the North Carolina House. Again, a bill led by Nash County Representative Alan Chester, who maybe we need to call him, Representative Willingham and others, and get them and give us an update on what's happening around North Carolina General Assembly. So you hear it straight from an elected official as well. Well, this box is, everything is a little bit different today, huh? I don't even see my chat comment section, so if you are saying good morning, appreciate you, but clearly I don't see it. Oh, here we go. Comments. That's just the settings for comments, so I can't actually see that. Yeah, that computer obviously needs to be restarted, or something's going on with Facebook Live for me. And this morning, let me go to something. Right here. See if I can see him here. Okay, I can do it this way. I want to say good morning to James Bullock, Deborah Gunter, Reginald Manning, Gwendolyn Johnson, Gloria Brake, Allison Williams, Vernice Harris, Beautician Stevenson, Candy State, and Marvin Bowden. Good morning to all of you all. And if I missed it, I do apologize as I cannot see. Obviously, it says it's 15 comments on the thing, and that was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 10. So I'm missing some. I hope I said Vernice Harris as well. So again, I can't see all of those things, and thank those who shared. It looks like there's about 5 shares this morning. Again, I can't see that either. So there you go. That is what I got going on. Total comment. Can I click it? Nope. Yes, this old Facebook is off the chat. Well, I think it's just this computer. It was slow in loading, and so it's doing its own little thing today. It's doing its own little thing. Chatbot. I think there's a thing called chatbot. Pose questions feature. That's interesting. You know, I use this thing in its simplest form at the end of the day. Don't want to click next to take me back out. But anyway, so those are the comments that I can see based on my cell phone. So there you go. There. And don't forget that this Saturday, April the 5th from 10 a.m. until noon at Brass Memorial Library, there will be that seminar, Which Way is Freedom Now? It's the book review exploring the 2 types of American freedom. Of course, we had Linwood Williams on the show to talk about that a couple of times. And it's going to deal with the 7 pits of American bondage. It includes ignorance, fear, hopelessness, guilt, blame, hate, and independency. And light refreshments will be served. The public is invited. Again, it's going to be this Saturday, April the 5th from 10 a.m. until noon at the Brass Memorial Library. Again, if you need more information, contact Linwood Williams. He's available at 252-314-3048. Again, that's 252-314-3048. And I got a website said it's www.exodus2025. www.exodus2025 is where you can find that as well. And I will say, someone left me a letter here at the station. So obviously you watch. I don't know who you are, but nevertheless, I got it this morning, so I will take time to go through this letter as well. We appreciate you. Appreciate you taking time to write a letter. And it looks like it's involving the conversation that was had in regards to the Bible, the old law, and this, that, and third. And so I'll go back and take a look at that as we had some conversation about that. And in my brief reading of it, it was saying, hey, when the resurrection came, in fact, let me go to that part. Now, after the resurrection, Jesus Christ only ministered to God. Apostle Paul, Galatians 1:5. Apostle Paul writes, where was it at? Also, there was talk about prophets and saints. So Jesus Christ, I think, agree. The last days, this. And after the resurrection, everything, after the resurrection, everything changed, and God came for a people who was not seeking him. Okay. Yes, I'll finish reading this and then give a summary of what that is tomorrow on the show if I do yet remember to do such. And hopefully I will. Hopefully I will indeed. Let me see what else. Let me go. Be right back in just a second. Play these steady commercial games. I got to take a quick break.
The trained staff at Promised Land Child Care Center is dedicated to nurturing the growth and development of your children in a safe, caring environment. We are open 24/7 with affordable pricing on full, part-time, and drop-in care. Call Promised Land Child Care today or visit us online to learn more.
ALB Building Company is a full-service general contractor. Big or small, they can handle it all. Renovations, additions, or new construction. Think ALB Building Company. We're available at 919-803-4911. That's 919-803-4911. We're ready to transform your vision into reality. ALB Building Company, 919-803-4911.
Greetings, beloved. I'm Pastor J.T. Worthy of the St. James Missionary Baptist Church of Rocky Mount. Tune in each Saturday morning at 9 a.m. for the word, worship, and witness of the St. James Church in our Great Awakenings broadcast right here on Wncr-Tv.
That pollen is definitely sound like a whole different person when I let me say that. But 38 minutes past 8 o'clock hour this morning on Wncr-Tv Now, as we continue to talk about things impacting our state, our city, and our nation. Maybe we'll get through the rest of the show before 9 o'clock. Otherwise, I'll take another one. But what else is going on? Of course, again, we just talked about Alan Chesapeake. We talked about the terrorists that's sweeping our nation and having some global impact on the stock markets, as well as people's decisions to do this, that, and the third. And also, it's going to be like, what is going to happen with will this thing actually help inflation or will it harm inflation? I think anybody with any kind of ounce of sense think it would actually harm the efforts to reduce inflation. And so one of the craziest things is if you know what you plan on doing and you're playing the market or whatever, got friends playing the market and you know what to tell them to put their money at because you know what's about to come down. And we do remember that some lady named Martha Stewart was in jail for quite some time. Well, not quite some time, but for insider trading and things of that nature. So, there is this thing where some others continue to get wealthy while others are harmed. Your 401ks and your retirement funds, all those things are negatively impacted by actions of administrations. And those are things that we ultimately then live with or have to live with. Good morning to Fighting Crime. Thank you for tuning in this morning, Wncr-Tv Now. And I tell you, that page, Fighting Crime, has amassed a lot of viewers or participants, and I go there to get content. In fact, let me see what's going on over there, Fighting Crime, about what's happening in the community, videos and things that, and she's very made it interactive where people are able to submit things because of course she can't be everywhere all the time. And so it makes it a whole lot easier when people are contributing to the cause. And it looks like John Lindell is there participating in, participating and providing content for the page as well. And has, went beyond the other, what is here? Okay. So let me go back here. So a couple of different people were arrested. I saw where, I think I saw this morning before I even got up here. Now, I don't like all of my devices. Maybe they got some type of no work for Bronson devices today because even this is slow. Either Facebook is just going through. Is anybody else having trouble with Facebook this morning? And let me go over here to YouTube and see what's going on YouTube. Okay. YouTube seems to be running smooth, but this Facebook app seems to be interesting. Or just could mean I said, well, maybe it's my Wi-Fi, so I got off Wi-Fi here. And it is, okay, now we're good. Yeah, we're good. Okay. So let's see here. And I saw somewhere where something happened over in Wilson as well. Oh, so yeah, so this is what I was reading yesterday. Zach Bryant, 30, has been charged with an assault with a deadly weapon with the intent to inflicting serious injury on an incident that happened last week in Spring Hope, which he was accused of shooting a juvenile in the head. So what is exactly? It is the AWDWWIKISI, often referred to as the alphabet assault by law enforcement, lawyers, reporters, and frequently filers of the North Carolina criminal justice system. The charge is a serious felony tantamount to attempted murder. North Carolina has attempted murder charges, but is rarely applied. In my 20 years of reporting for the Eastern North Carolina newspaper, I've only seen one person get convicted. So is this by John Lindell? Oh, yeah, it is. Okay. And so the misachievement goes to Jonathan Gall, who was beat his wife half to death with a hammer and then tried to stage the scene to make it look like it was an unknown assailant, broke into his home and committed a brutal attack. Obviously, he didn't plan on his wife surviving. The alphabet assault is a case C felony, punishable by up to 5 to 19 years in prison, depending on the prior convictions and other aggravated circumstances. I don't think it's previously reported, but Bryant doesn't have any criminal convictions on his record. So if found guilty, his sentencing would likely be on the lower end of the spectrum, but still several years given for the 4 counts against him. So we will see what happens here. And this is a prime example of how the conversation came the other day. When we was talking about should you shoot somebody who is taking from you. With in this example, what was it, Monday or Tuesday? Whatever these days it was. We were had to be Monday, yeah. So should you shoot somebody who was taking? No, it was Tuesday. It was Tuesday. Taken from you, taking a bicycle out your yard or something like that when you're in the safety of your own home. And of course, the caller said, yeah. And of course, I don't believe that. Of course, the law would also say that, which is part of the reason why he's charged, right? So he was obviously in the comfort of his own home, allegedly, based on some of the facts I'm kind of remember of the story. And he might have heard something happening in his toolbox or seen or whatever. Again, I don't have all of the evidence of the case, but then went out of the safety of his home, went out into his yard and began to fire rounds into a fleeing vehicle. Then obviously had 4 juveniles, and one of the bullets struck the juvenile in the head. The juvenile is in Wake County Hospital, trying to recover from the injuries. And so at the end of the day, based on North Carolina's law, unless you are in immediate danger, you do not have the wherewithal to just blatantly shoot somebody. Again, if your life was threatened, they got a gun that was bigger than you or whatever type of elements of the situations there, then you may find a justifiable reason of using deadly force and etc. Prime example, oftentimes when we see incidents of police officers involved killings, what do we always hear? I feared for my life situation, right? And so the person or persons was in close proximity. They believed the individual either have a weapon or a gun, or they was coming towards them or something of that nature. And it's always having those elements that are there, because that's what the law is going to stand behind. But if a person is going in the opposite direction of you and you are not in immediate harm or danger, you have absolutely zero right for shooting or using a deadly weapon towards a person at all. And I get it. It's something you work hard for and somebody should be trampling with or taking it. I get it 100%, right? But unfortunately, when those things happen, you can call the police, file a report, file on your insurance, or just be done with it. But you cannot take matters in your own hands and start shooting and firearms at somebody or bullets. And so obviously, if he didn't know, Zach Bryan is learning today. Caller, good morning. Caller, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Hey, how's it going?
Doing well. Hope you are.
Doing good. Listening to the conversation, and I guess to clarify, because I was the other party in that conversation, I'm not for the so willy-nilly or easily taking of life. I've seen videos where road rage has happened, and as quick as a person gets out of the car is as quick as another person pulls out a gun, even though they were involved in the entire escalation. Now they can use, I felt my life is threatened, and shoot and kill. And so to me, I don't really start with the problem of guns. I kind of start at the problem of people having so little self-control of their emotions, especially men. And you've probably witnessed it too, just living and driving around town, a road rage incident in front of you where somebody is yelling at each other and the cars are screeching, and it may be two women. You may have been in a situation where I've been in a situation where I tried to cross over and didn't know somebody was there, and then and they beep the horn, and then when we're at the light, they want to pull the window down and say something, like things that escalate situations, and then people who will use what is law to quickly take a life. Like, I'm not for that. And I've seen things like that happen, and I look at it as like, and most men do, as like a punk move. Like, you escalate a situation and you quickly pull out a gun, and then want to claim self-defense when you should be guilty of murder, of what you did, especially if you can see the situation, like a video or something. So I'm not for that. I guess the view of the difference in North Carolina and Texas currently is what I understand is like the castle doctrine. In North Carolina, the castle doctrine is if you are in the car, your car is your castle now. And if you're in your home, that's your castle, to where if somebody's coming into those places or trying to come into those places while you're there, you're legally able to pull a firearm and shoot if you have to, because you know that's the castle doctrine. And in Texas, I guess it extends to your yard. So coming onto someone's yard and taking something now, that extends to their castle. So for the situation we were talking about, I don't even know if I'm necessarily agreeing with what played out there, because I don't think that falls. You know, if you're going out of your way to go to the road and catch someone in a car. You know, a lot of things could go wrong with it, you know, of who you shoot and stuff like that. So I'm not necessarily saying that, but
before you go there, you're talking about the castle doctrine. It's still, even if their vehicle or home, there has to be a presumption of fear or seriously bodily injury. So you just can't look out your window. North Carolina has a version of a castle doctrine, and again, I'm looking at its general statute 14-51.2. And again, it goes back to a home, workplace, or motor vehicle protection. Presumption of fear or death or seriously bodily injury is what's going to have to take place there in order for you to protect them.
Yeah, I get it. There was something you said in that conversation after the call ended, where you said you find it strange to find individuals who are maybe willy-nilly or wanting to pull their gun and shoot in a situation where life is so much more precious than the object, and yet fight so hard for against abortion. And you said it was oxymoronic. Do you remember that?
I said something along those lanes, that, an adult baby versus a newborn baby, right? And so, again, it's all in the preference that you're not in immediate harm. Now, if you're in immediate harm and danger, a whole different situation applies there, right? But that goes to the context is there's no immediate harm to your body or person, the threat of losing your own life. Absolutely. So I still stand behind that statement.
Okay. So, because you're saying it should be consistency. Like if you're strongly for life over here, you should be strongly for life over here.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
So, but isn't your own position kind of in the same dilemma? Because your own position is that in the situation of the person that's living, that you called the other day a baby still, you said life affected them. You don't know the situation and circumstances, and you said this is someone's baby. And you want us to esteem life, and you brought up the religious terms because of that. You mean you brought up how would I feel about being in front of God with that mindset and acting that out. Mm-hmm. But wouldn't your own position be in that dilemma to where you are esteeming life of the born to a greater extent that you're esteeming life of the unborn? Because your position, you have allowed. In your position of abortion, like in my position, I said I feel it should be banned unless it's a threat to the woman's life. But your position is that if because of God wanting us to have freedom for whatever reason, if a woman wants to decide to do that, she can. Mm-hmm. So in one case, you are removing the value of life, or in the preborn situation.
Never have I done that. And so I'm glad you do understand what my position is, the right to choose. But that does not say that Bronson is going to choose to encourage someone to have an abortion. So you've never heard me say abort all the babies, kill all the babies. Never have you heard me say that. What you have, and I'm glad you articulated correctly, that the person has a right to choose what they do. Now, whatever consequences they have beyond that, or no consequences, I have no idea. And I'm not the person that issues such consequences. But that is their absolute right. So absolutely, and I still stand behind that position. It wouldn't change it a bit either.
So, since you brought up the Bible, like with that position, how would you feel standing in front of God for Judgment Day?
I don't know, because I have not. That is a hypothetical situation in which, fortunately, I won't have the situation of having to choose to make the decision of aborting a baby that I'm carrying, right? Because that's impossible. So. That's just something that I don't have. And so it's something that, again, I leave that choice up to that individual, and is not in my wheelhouse.
Yeah, but I mean, I get that. And it's because we have this view in this country and in the world, maybe this philosophy that we've created. It's not necessarily biblical, but we've created this view that the woman has this role and authority to where she can decide the verdict on if her child lives or dies. And it can be for myriad of reasons, not even including the rare occasions where we're talking about health, but just a matter of the circumstance of my life. I can't see myself doing this now. It may be to where I already have kids, and now in this new pregnancy, I can't afford to change my situation in life. But we talked so adamantly the other day, and the caller did too, about being against murder, and like how can I think she said, how can someone who says they're a man of God speak of life like that and be for murder or anything, and yet when we talk anytime about abortion,
so how can you be like that? How can you be like that?
The consistent view is that a baby has no right.
I get it, but
protecting
I get
them.
it.
Mm-hmm.
Beyond all that, how can you be like that? How can you say that, hey, you should be able to kill someone? You want to take it back to the baby. I mean, I get it. That's a go-to point, but it still does not negate the fact that there are people out here who believe willy-nilly, as you just talked about a few moments ago, how they can be aggravated road rage or whatever, and decides it's going to end life, right? But again, the whole point oftentimes go from, we're not going to talk about the adult making adult decisions in an adult situation. We want to go back to a subjective thing in which people are going to choose it whether we like it or not. Abortion. I mean, people are going to choose to do drugs whether we like it or not. A lot of things people are going to choose to do whether we want to or not. But I still don't understand how in our minds that we can get behind a gun and decide to pull a trigger over somebody stealing a bicycle, a tool out of a vehicle, a car out of the yard, or whatever it might be, right? I don't know how we are so easily about losing and ending life because of those material things.
So at what point would you feel it's fine to use lethal force? Like if you're in your car.
I don't know. That's hard. I mean, I don't really know. I mean, and unfortunately, I hope I'm never in that situation where I have to make a determination as that, because at the end of the day, I will say this, that I'm about to say that me believing in God at the end of the day, as I do, when I leave this earth, whether it's by a bullet, whether it's by God just taking a breath of life out of me, I'm okay at the end of the day, right? So is it that I'm going to be so fearful that I say I'm going to protect my life at all costs when the ultimate protector is God at the end of the day? Because there's many people who've gotten shot many a times, got on that operating table, and still walking on this earth today because God said, ain't your time to go. So I truly believe in the scripture, say the Lord giveth and the Lord taketh away. So am I to do God's job? Mm-hmm.
I think excuse me. I think in the past, if I remember, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but you are for the Second Amendment and for people and for citizens arming themselves. Am I right about that?
I am for the American Constitution as it stands today. That includes people having rights to have firearms. Absolutely.
Okay.
For what is the intended purpose?
Do you own a firearm?
I sure do. I own one. You can say so. Yeah, you can say so.
Okay. So what's the reason why you own a firearm?
Oh, I go to the gun range and shoot it. It's
Say
a
it
part.
again?
I go to the gun range and shoot. It's a part of the American culture, right? So there's a whole bunch like people race cars around a race track called NASCAR. It's just I go to Formula One racing in Las Vegas. I mean, it's just a pastime. Do you think
So
do you think
you
I got a gun because do you think I bought a gun because I said, hey, look, I want to I'm going and seeking who I can shoot, kill, and murder? Or you think I got a gun to say it's for my own protection and safety? No, I didn't do that. I mean, I walked up one day and said I want a 3D printer, so I went and bought a 3D printer. So it's one of those fads in life that obviously we're mesmerized by guns on television, seeing people in gun ranges. From I watch Law and Order all the time, so they're shooting guns in training
so
and all that
you
kind of
have
stuff.
you have no plan, or you've already made up in your mind. I'm asking that you have no plan to use this gun in any self-defense kind of measure at all. This is just a cultural kind of. I like going to the range and
When I
shooting
go.
because I'm an American citizen.
Yeah, I can tell you, I can't remember last time I seen that gun. Be honest with you, right? I can't remember.
So you're just like a pacifist as far, pretty much. I mean,
You could say in a many of things. I mean, I can't remember the last time I used my 3D printer, right? I mean, I woke up one day and said I wanted a new living room set, so I went and bought a new living room set.
Why are you for the Constitution, like for guns?
Freedom,
like,
freedom.
That's strange to me, like
well, it's the things can be strange. Everybody's not going to be agreement with everything, but I'm for a person's freedom to do what they desire to do. Right. And so I think the Constitution allows and provides a space for that. And I think it mirrors biblical concepts of free choice. Right. Now, what you do with that is something different. But if you believe that the Constitution about bearing arms is solely about being able to just shoot somebody, then I think that's what makes the Second Amendment scary to some people. With the idea of going to get guns is why they start having gun legislation and laws about who can and who can't get them. And I will say this. There was one thing you mentioned about buying guns, and of course, I think I might have shared this on Facebook. I can't remember or not, so I'm just going to share it here on TV.
About what now? You're talking fast and it's kind of hard to hear.
Okay, about the purchasing of guns and having a background check. A background check is only required if you're purchasing a gun from a licensed gun dealer. And so if you have a private sale, there is no background check. So the thought process that everybody who buys a gun gets a background check, that's totally not true. And so there was this piece that Congresswoman wanted to put in about having a background check, making it a requirement of law, no matter what transfer sells. And the Republican Party blatantly denied it. In fact, tabled the amendment for that particular piece of bill.
I hear you.
So that's what I was talking about.
I'll say this: like I've already agreed with you that I'm not for the. Me personally, I'm not for just like the easily taken of life. The Bible says, and Paul says specifically, live a peace as much as you can. Try to live a peaceful life. Mm-hmm. And I love it because he puts in it that clause of as much as you can, because sometimes life doesn't bring you that situation to where you can have. And we see in Scripture that sometimes the peaceful situation, whether it's the Old Testament, whether it's the New Testament, was to just run away. So I'm all for if you can get out of a situation. I'm always teaching my son and kids that I work with about don't bring me the situation when it's escalated to stage 5, when you could have brought me in when you were busy escalating it from 1 to 2 to 3, and now we're in this situation. So I'm all for a Christian. Their heart should be one of peace. I mean, like you should be at peace with God because of your relationship with Him. So I'm not those willy-nilly people that you're saying. What about those people? I do, and I would say, okay, I would agree with you. That's kind of oxymoronic. You know, to be if that person is strong against abortion. I don't know. Every person I see that's willing to pull out a gun and shoot, I don't know their personal view on stuff. They may be Republican, but just because you're Republican don't mean you buy all the stuff. Your personal view on, the abortion is the populist view in the state, in the United States, though you still have Christians. So people, I don't know, I'm not saying all Christians, some Christians, we're having this conversation now. I don't think biblically you can establish it at all, even if to take a road of God gave people freedom. Yeah, he gave freedom, and immediately he gave laws. Immediately, this is what you aren't to do. Even though you have the freedom to do it, this is what you aren't to do, and there'll be punishments for it. So if the law in some hypothetical world extends to you can shoot somebody that's not immediately threatening you, but they're coming to take the objects that belong to you on your land, then now we're talking about it's a freedom, it's a free choice, and should people do it? We're talking about a moral issue, not necessarily the legality of it. Yeah. But the same thing applies for abortion. Like, the legality of it allows for a lot, but the conversation is the morality of it. If you can't establish, if the world is going to do what the world does, I can't. God's going to judge the world for their view of abortion and what they think, and He's going to judge them for that. Me personally, I don't see how any Christian could not see it as murder, could not see how in any world God made the woman having the sole choice to decide this situation. And if anything, Scripture gives the view that the woman is the weaker vessel, the one that the enemy will really try to tempt, because men and women still are different. And man's role is also to protect the woman, to shield the woman. That's why the Scripture, even in the New Testament, will use when they're positioning, I don't want to say authorities, but the man is always the head. Like, he's meant to protect the woman, and yet in this situation, we've given the woman more authority than the man. And because the state and our philosophy in the world says this is what it is, regardless of the Bible, we just believe it. And so when people come and say conversations about how we should esteem life and the value of life, and, God isn't for this, and bring up Jesus and stuff, we can have that conversation. I say let's bring the whole Bible. But the conversation has to start when a woman conceives, because the Bible talks about life all the time, birth all the time. The people who longed for a baby and couldn't have a baby until God made it happen. And so it may not be, you said your personal view.
So to that thought, the creation of life is in a God ordained situation. Right? Would you agree that if you want you to live, you're gonna live. Once you die, you're gonna die. So anyway, my time is up, man. It's 4 minutes past 9 o'clock hour, and I got to get up out of here. But I appreciate you for calling in and sharing your views and opinions on today.
All right, thank you.
All right, you take care. That's gonna do it for me. Thank you so much for tuning in to Wncr-TV. We'll see you tomorrow to do it all over again, right here on this station around 8 o'clock.